Yay, we're live. Hi, Krista. Thanks so much for being here.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
How are you doing?
I'm great. A very busy morning. Um, Meetings and press interviews, and yeah, so it's busy these days.
It's been
But
it's been it's been busy, right? For you, I
yeah,
can
it
imagine.
has. Well, I can't complain. It's so wonderful, actually. I love sharing my ideas, especially about Mars House, and I'm very happy that people are interested in the project.
Absolutely. And actually, yeah, I think I would start directly from that. So if you want to, talk a little bit about you and, your kind of like entry into the crypto art scene, that would be amazing.
Oh goodness! So last December, I was researching Bitcoin and Ethereum for my own personal investments, and I decided to get into the investment space of crypto, and then I also was thinking, wow, decentralization. I googled decentralization art, and then it came up with NFTs. And then I also learned about Super Rare, and then I signed up for Super Rare as soon as I discovered the platform. And then a month later, I was whitelisted, and I minted my first work in February. So it was all a whirlwind, but it all started early this year. So what can I say? It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and I guess I was obviously reading about you, and part of why you're also so well known in kind of like the art industry is your techism art movement, right? I'd love to know a little bit more about that.
Wow. So basically, in 2013, I was doing my Master's of Fine Arts Studies at LaSalle College of the Arts. And, I was really thinking about, how my cell phone was affecting me, my own social behavior, the way I was viewing people, like, especially when you are, interacting with people virtually, you're not seeing them face to face. So
Hmm.
there's less accountability for your actions. So, things like ghosting are a new phenomenon ever since we started interacting digitally, right? And also like interaction on social media platforms, it's really very sort of narcissistic, especially the early days of Instagram and stuff and Facebook. You're only posting show offy, pictures and things, and people are very, likes, and it's the popularity contest, all of these very disruptive social behaviors that were affecting me and the people around me. And I thought, okay, the whole world, right? And I was thinking about how these technology companies came to be and why they designed the systems the way they did. Well, it's all, of course, to make money, and most of it's very parasitic, surveillance capitalist practices of mining our data and selling it to third parties and not respecting the integrity of our own autonomous ownership of data, which actually should be recognized as human right. Um, so, knowing this, I thought, okay, here are these guys that are technologists and business, entrepreneurs who are basically creating platforms and affecting, our world culture, right? But it should be art and artists, right? That should be at the helm of creating culture,
Hmm.
not technology and, capitalism. So we could see how our, our societies have and our psychological, mental health state globally has really been negatively affected by these platforms. And it's because they don't create beauty in the world, and artists create beauty in the world. So techism really is this recognition that and a call to action for artists to be at the cutting edge of technology, to collaborate with technology entrepreneurs, to collaborate with engineers, to create beauty through platforms, beauty through innovation, to create more humanity. That's techism.
Wow, that's super interesting, and I guess it intersects, really well with the concept of decentralization and with the blockchain, right?
You have no idea. So discovering Bitcoin for me, because I had no idea what it was truly, and I thought it was a scam, just as most people in the world did, until I realized that the entire movement is about decentralization and
Hmm.
about autonomy, sovereignty, right? And decentralization precisely is, going to, you know, give us equal wealth distribution. It's going to, allow us to monetize properly on our creative, ingenuity and carry it into the future through NFTs. Um, in general, I just feel that the world is moving toward a trend of global decentralization, and that affects our culture also. So it's really a positive shift for humanity, what's happening now through the power of technology. I'm very excited about that. And it is very techism. I believe that Vitalik Buterin is an artist. Like he's an artistic mind. And I also believe that Elon Musk is an artist, in the way that they formulate their companies and the way they execute, whatever projects they execute into the world. It is for the betterment of humanity. It's to make the world a better place, and that's beautiful.
That's really interesting concept because, sometimes I think what defines art and what defines being an artist, right?
True, and these are all changing.
So
Yeah,
yeah, and I'd like to hear your take on this. Like, what in your vision defines art and what defines an artist?
I believe that art, true art, changes the world through their ideas. I think a great idea will change the world. And so, I think that's what really separates great art from, beautiful decorative art, but, art that really stands the test of time, that becomes a historic, monumental piece of work. It has shifted the way people think and opened a whole new paradigm of culture and interaction, of seeing the world. Um, so yes, I actually think that Ethereum in itself is like a work of art. It's code, and it's a work of art. Bitcoin is a work of art in code, because I believe that that in itself can also be expressed as art. I think the way that the
Mhm.
vernacular and the definition, of how we identify what art is mostly based on a market structure from the
Mhm.
past, where there were merchants or galleries or whatever selling art as a good, right? And but that's not what art is. Art is not just something you buy and sell. It's
Mhm.
it's ideas that change the world and push humanity forward. That's true art. And that could be a beautiful painting, like a Picasso, that changed the way people look at the world, or Jackson Pollock, uh, Mars House. I mean, these ideas changed the world. Um, it could be a poem. It could be a book. It could be. There's so many different iterations of what art is. But now that we're going into technology, now we have um, engineers who are also artists, as I said, Vitalik Buterin and even Elon Musk, creating incredible. I think it's art through business, through enterprise, and the definition, the classic definition of art. Those definitions are soon going to be changed, and many lines are being blurred, and things are being redefined.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with this. And actually, I find myself sometimes, listening to like clubhouse talks, especially lately, with where there's an intersection between kind of, traditional art and gallerists and, art curators who have been probably, in the space of traditional art for a very long time and for many
Mm-hmm.
years,
Mm-hmm.
who question whether NFTs and digital art is art,
Oh,
right?
interesting. Of course they would.
Uh,
Um, NFT is the ultimate. Uh, I believe it's the supreme art medium, and the reason why is because it carries our creative energy, an idea, into infinity. Even if the human race were to disappear on Earth, those ideas would still exist somewhere. So you can really imagine the power of that mechanism and the meaning of it and the reach. Like here I am, I joined Super Rare in February, and I'm able to have a world audience on my art. Now, that is extremely powerful. And then, of course, the NFT actually, creates makes that one digital file into an immutable asset going into infinity. That means that the ideas imparted in that work are also carried into infinity. And it's, the meaning of it is heightened, the power of it, the power behind it. So NFTs with artists who basically look beyond just a pretty picture, a 2D picture on the screen, can actually enact incredible disruption and change in the world for positive good if it's done properly.
Definitely, definitely. I completely agree. And I guess, there's a big part of also like the work that you've done in the past where like meditation, meditative design comes into place, right?
Yes.
Do you want to expand on that?
So I believe that meditation will save us from the machine and art will save us from ourselves. That is my belief. When I was going through an extremely difficult divorce in 2013, while I was enrolled in the master's program, I was suffering from really crippling anxiety and depression, right? And it was very severe. So, and I had to treat myself. I didn't want to take, antidepressants. So I learned Transcendence Meditation. And from that incredible practice, I've been practicing every day, twice a day, since the day that I learned it. It actually alleviated all of those mental health issues that I had. And not only that, but it actually brought out the artist inside of me. And I learned that through the practice of like actually creating art to heal myself as a mechanism of healing, that I'm able to heal others. And of course, my art also has very strong Zen sort of roots
Mm-hmm.
visually. I
Mm-hmm.
lived in Japan for 4 years, and when I lived in Japan, that's when I really had my artistic epiphany, my vocation and call to action, if you will. I was so inspired living there to just like finally say, okay, damn it, I'm an artist and I have to do this because it's just so beautiful here. It's inspiring me. Um, I learned what the power of art is in a Zen garden in Kyoto. It's the Ryoanji Temple Garden. It's thousands of years old, and you first encounter this very simple garden, um, and you think, wow, it's so simple and sparse, and what's special about it, right? Then you sit there and meditate in front of it, and the empty space that is purposefully sort of like placed and composed with between the rocks is meant to be mirrored in the mind, so that through staring at the garden and meditating in front of the garden, you are mirroring the empty space of the garden into your mind and reaching a Zen state. And that's where I realized that yes, art and our environment are mirrored into our subconscious. So it's very important to curate what is around us and occupying our space or in general in every aspect of our lives. It's important to curate what you surround yourself with because it
Mm-hmm.
becomes reflected into your subconscious. Um, so my art is digital, and traditionally since the beginning of the electronic age, all digital devices have been used as a commercial medium to sell you something, right? Or to make you think a certain way. And we have a lot of data pollution now. We are more distracted than ever. Yeah, we're connected more than ever in history through
Mm-hmm.
our digital devices, but there is a disconnection to our humanity, right? And the connection to each other, right? So for me, I thought it's very important to carry on this tradition of Zen, of empty mind, of meditativeness that we have been practicing through thousands of years of human wisdom that is passed down from master to master, right? Carry it on into the digital. and use the digital medium, because this is the new light is the new ink. This is what we respond to now. People are more interested in digital aesthetically, so it's important to translate meditativeness in that language for people to appreciate. So,
Hmm.
as a counterbalance to extreme distraction in our society, in our environment, I've created a digital Zen Gardens in my work.
And how do you translate this in your pieces? Is that behind you one of your, yes, right?
Yes, it is one of my prints on a museum quality plexi that's non-reflective. It's the latest, let me just, the latest technology of printing. It's UV printing directly onto the plexi. There's no paper involved in this process.
Okay.
And, it lasts forever. um, basically, if you're looking at the landscape of nature, it's wild, and it's wild, organic. There's so much variety and everything. But a Zen garden is minimalist. It eliminates a lot of that noise, and it creates empty space for the viewer, right? So in many ways, we look at the digital environment that we live in. It's even worse. We are bombarded with thousands of messages a day. And if you don't think that that's affecting your subconscious, think again.
Mm.
We are actually being manipulated at every turn on a digital device. So it's very important to have a meditative mindfulness practice every day to keep yourself in check, to have mental health. Sort of a mental health practice that balances all of that distraction. Um, I mean, case in point, we have the most highest numbers of depression and anxiety in our young generation Z and younger in human history, and that can only
Hmm.
be attributed to digital devices, right? So
Yeah,
what I'm
absolutely.
creating is I'm stripping away that noise, stripping away the noise, and I'm creating that beautiful peace and serenity through color and light, which is basically the screen emits color, right? It's color and energy. I'm using that as a medium to actually bring the subconscious into an altered state of consciousness. And I also love to combine healing sound frequency music to that also to create a real, audio visual experience that's even more effective. But really, it's about healing through the art, because we are all in need of healing through art, because we are attacked every day, with information.
And I guess, especially in this space, like in the NFT space, we're even more on, our screens with the current world condition where everybody is kind of connected through technology and not really face to face. So this, comes into play much, much more, this sense of having to kind of take some time out, and like take a step back. Like how do you approach that, especially even, potentially with your experience in being in the crypto art for a couple of months, which I'm sure you've realized it's a lot.
Don't, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love digital technology. Okay, I love it. But I also believe that we need to balance. We have to have a balance in our lives. And having a meditation practice or a practice of mindfulness is very, very important. And I think that, here's the thing. I, I'm not telling people, that they shouldn't use their devices, but I'm telling them that mental health management, and mindfulness are important. And it's like a reminder that, okay, it's a self-control. Don't get don't get lost in it, because we are all
Hmm.
addicted. It's an addiction. And the devices and the apps that we use are designed to actually keep us addicted, right? It's all about the eyes, and eyes are real estate. Well, if that's the case, then I think that we should be aware of that. And I think that we should, practice uh, you know, mental health practices on a daily basis. Daily. You know, it's good for
Hmm.
us, and it's something that will preserve our humanity. Um, the more that we allow the technology to take over our senses, take over our subconscious, and control us, the worse it is for the future. And the more, with future generations, the younger they are, starting on digital technology as digital natives, the easier it is to manipulate that population, that generation. So that's why I want to carry on right now and start advocating for the awareness so that we don't end up with a dystopian future where our children do not know what it means to think for themselves. And
Hmm.
therefore, the whole concept of democracy and free will are lost because the technology has just hijacked everyone. And it's not good.
And how do you think that you can translate that with, NFTs? And do you think NFTs will actually, be a bridge in this
I
or
believe
the other
that
way around?
NFTs are amazing. I think NFTs are freeing us of that because decentralization is what we want, right? And so NFT basically is basically how would you say, it is rocket fuel for decentralization and adaptation. Of crypto, of adapting a decentralized model of commerce that actually will change the way Facebook operates, Google
Hmm.
operates. I think NFTs will lead to a disruption of parasitic tech business practices. And, the more that you have artists and creatives um, who are gaining more power, right, and leadership through their sales, through their initiatives, NFTs can be used for extreme social good in the world. Because traditionally in the traditional markets, you had a standard
Hmm.
intermediary, uh, you know, an intermediate market
Yeah.
that take 50% of all the sales of all the art in the world. Well, you could imagine how much capital that is. But with the NFTs, you have a shift where you have direct interaction between the collectors and the artists. And the NFT becomes a powerful mechanism because of the financing capital behind it for social change projects, social initiatives, philanthropy, action that actually benefits the community, right? We can get out there because we have the funds to get out there and make the world a better place and make it more beautiful. We could collaborate too. We're not held back because we're not giving 50% of what we earn to someone else so that we're it's crippling. We're free
Hmm.
with more capital to actually engage with our communities and change the world.
And that's actually something that, you did as well, right? With
Mars House.
your with one of your recent with Mars House, which obviously sold for, break say break record. So
Yes.
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But also, you obviously donated part of it, right? Do you want to talk about that?
The majority. The majority of the proceeds, and this is a collaboration with Art on Internet, who is the owner of the piece.
Hmm.
Between myself and Art on Internet, we made, the pact that the majority of the funds would go toward Continuum Foundation, which will finance a global world tour of sound and light healing installations that I will, produce in collaboration with Jeff Schroeder, who of the Smashing Pumpkins, who will compose healing meditative music. So we're going to start in Toronto. Toronto, August the 13th to 16th. We're going to be there. The Continuum Foundation is supporting um, the event as hand in hand with the City of Toronto. We're going to create a giant LED wall in the city, in the Fort York Museum. It's a giant old British fort, and we're going to put up a huge LED wall, like 120 meters by 4 meters high. Sound and light installations, surround sound. Thousands of people can be there. Jeff will be there to perform live on his electric guitar, and we want to bring people together and heal. We want to heal the world through public installations. and we're going to bring in the indigenous community. We're going to bring people from all communities together, multicultural. We're going to heal. We're going to heal racial division. We're going to heal the colonial past. We're going to prepare Toronto and the generation of the future for a new beginning, post reconciliation. So it's going to be a monumental event, not only culturally but spiritually, that people need. We
That's
want to bring
amazing.
this concept
Congratulations.
all around the world. Second event will be in Venice, September, the last week of August to the end of the first week of September, and we will be there to also do a beautiful installation for the Venice Architectural Biennale in
Hmm.
collaboration with UNESCO for a conference for the rebuilding of Beirut. So that's already planned. And for our final leg for 2021, we'll be in Miami during Miami Basel, and we're still in the planning stages for that. And then beyond. So it's a world tour, and we we believe, and I believe strongly, that if you can just bring this beauty into the communities that I think people need inspiration and healing right now, it'll bring people together, and we need that.
And obviously, there's obviously there's a collaboration with your collector on this.
Yes,
So how did
it's
that,
wonderful.
come about? And um,
This is the beauty of it. So, when you're on these platforms, you communicate with your collectors and you build relationships with them, dialogues. And
mhm,
so when we had our first conversation, you know, we both discussed our whys. Why are we doing this? And, for me, of course, bringing healing and meditativeness into the world. And for my collector, he also wants to make social meaningful change through the NFT purchases. He wants to support artists that change the world. So knowing this, I thought, okay, well, here's an initiative that I have that I would love you to help finance. So we built that into the purchase of Mars House. And so now we are partnering to bring this into the world. And I'm bringing all kinds of partners on board to this. This is just the beginning. So we're bringing all kinds of partners, and I'm not going to announce anything yet, but we're going to make a world tour that everyone will see.
that's amazing. And talking about, specifically this and the intersection kind of between the digital art and, physical exhibitions, physical, the physicality of art, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
What what do you think about that, and how do you see this, evolving specifically within the NFT space? So, do you think everything will move to digital? Do you still believe in, the intersection of digital and physical?
I think that it'll run the gamut. I think that people just make individual choices based on the project to project. So, for example, for me, I am actually starting a project to sell the physical furniture of Mars House as NFTs. Barango Studio in Murano, master glass makers who actually work with Ai Weiwei. They work with all the top artists. We are collaborating to create the Mars House furniture collection and also my sculptures in glass, which will be exhibited in Venice during the Biennale when I'm there for the Continuum tour. Um, so, I think that it's wonderful to create physical pieces. Of
Hmm.
course, that will never lose its the tangibility of art. There's something about it, and there's like the piece behind me. I love to see it every day. It brings joy into my life. It's something that we should all enjoy. We should not have they should not be exclusive of one another. And there are so many ways that you can do incredible collabs, even with brands, fashion brands. Going forward, I'll be doing fashion brand collaborations with the
Yeah.
NFTs. So that's a very fun thing that's going to be coming soon. Um, there are a lot of exciting plans, and I don't think that we should rule out physical. I think that doing both is very special.
Absolutely. And how, obviously, how are brands, or let's say museums and all of these big institutions and brands that you're, talking and interacting with, seeing the rise of NFTs? Are they worried? Are they excited? A little bit of both?
Barango, for example, are very excited, of course, and they always to innovate and be right there at the forefront of innovation. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. They want to be right at the forefront of innovation. So, of course, I mean, I think most people are figuring out how to navigate it and to make best use of it, right? It really depends on but most people actually look at it as an incredible phenomenon. The response I've had from Mars House has been, overwhelmingly positive, from so many different sectors: architecture, real estate, uh, you know, um, art, of course. People just like amazed at the fact that you can sell a digital house. Like they're not thinking of Mars House as a conceptual work of art that's in the form of a house. They're actually thinking I'm selling digital houses, which is quite humorous.
Well,
Uh,
that's great, to be honest. I think, probably it's where we'll end up to, right?
Yeah, it is a prediction of the future, isn't it? But I find it quite humorous because I am not a real estate agent. Let's just put it out there. I am not interested in selling your digital house. I am going to create conceptual artworks that change the world, the NFT. And I think Mars House, yeah, I think it was a paradigm shift for people where they're like, okay, there's something crazy going on here. NFTs, AR, you could sell a house, real estate. Wow, that's a paradigm shift. So it's really interesting, really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And so will the physical pieces that you mentioned of Mars House, will they be sold as an NFT and as a physical piece?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly, as both.
amazing.
You'll offer them as both, so the collector has both, and it will be a beautiful project. I can't wait because really I built my dream home is Mars House, and all the furniture in there is like my dream furniture. So I just can't wait. It's really exciting. It's really exciting.
That's super cool. Actually, I was speaking to somebody who was actually looking on how to sell his house as an NFT. So I think, this is definitely a step,
I
a
started
step in the,
something.
yeah,
So
it's a step
funny.
into that. Yeah, so I guess like obviously, one last question to close it off. I know you've mentioned, have a lot of upcoming collaborations, upcoming projects. Is there anything in specific that you're very excited about, that's coming up for you?
Oh
Yeah.
goodness. Well, I can't really say right now. It's kind of top secret.
Okay.
But I can say that yeah, they're pretty top secret, but they are mind blowing. Like it's it's just going to be really like, wow, what's she going to do next? They're they're all different segments too. So I'm really interested in disruption. As an artist, I love disruption. Decentralization for me is a sweet sounding word. I love it. And I want to facilitate the decentralization of different things, like different fields, um, economic systems. And I think with the power of the NFT and what Mars House has proven to me is that with one single NFT, you can actually disrupt an entire industry and the way they do business practices with an NFT. And that's exactly what I'm very interested in. And I'm very excited to show the world how it can be done. And so I'm excited.
Nice. Well, lots of things to look forward to, lots of hints, top
Yes.
secret hints. Thank you so much for your time, Krista. It was really
Well,
nice to speak to you.
thank you, Nicole. Thank you. You're very sweet. Thank you.
And also thanks to our sponsor, which is Will Street, for this month too. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.